Hi y'all, Jenny from Barefoot Abbey here, and if you don't know me already, you might be familiar with our video hymn study, Singing with the Saints, or our podcast, the Baby Proof Your Homeschool podcast, and liturgical listening. So today for Monday Music Musings, we're going to be looking at a continuation of our hymn series and how we can find time in our busy schedules to work in hymn study. You know, when are we practicing? When are we introducing new material? So I wanted to give y'all a couple different time frames throughout the day when y'all can try to add that and just see what works out to be most convenient for your own personal family. So a couple of those, there's going to be three that I'm going to talk about, and one of those is meals. And it doesn't have to be every meal, but try to pick a meal and see if that works. What I like about these different time frames that I'm going to be mentioning is that they usually come up every day, so you know that there's going to be that reminder. And I like to pin those things to something that I know that's happening, because then it triggers my memory. And after you've been doing it a while, the kids will start reminding you when you have forgotten. So that's another fail-safe there, because I know it's easy for things to slip my mind if there's a change in our schedule for the day or things like that. So having that extra added reminder built in is great. Okay, so for meals, one example for that where we work in hymns is we review the same hymn over and over again. So there's a hymn that we always sing at each meal, and then the fourth verse at bedtime, and that is Lord of all hopefulness. And that's just basically, you know, a time for review. I'm not introducing a new one at every meal and then at bedtime too. I'm not doing 4 in a day. That's just one that I really wanted to have, you know, inscribed in their hearts. The verses themselves mention the different times of day, so they're just very fitting for that. And again, that's Lord of all hopefulness. Another time is if your child has an extracurricular activity that you know you're going to be in the car on a certain day at a certain time, or even, you know, dropping them off at school, picking them up, those set times when you are in a vehicle, that's a great time to do review. And, you know, you can just have that, you know, the first thing we get in after we're all buckled and we're on our way, you turn on the recording, sing along, and then there you have it. You know, you've done that. You can check that off. And it's not really cutting into anything else because that's counted as commute time anyway. So that's one thing. And if you're looking for recordings, we have that through Singing with the Saints. We have one hymn free per month, and we do a verse a week. So that's a free resource for your use. And then the third time, so we've got the first 2 meals and then car time, commute time. The third one is going to be bedtime. That's always going to be there. That's, you know, something you know that's coming up each day. And I find that's a good way to help the kids calm down, wind down, signal that transition towards bedtime. And if that's part of your bedtime liturgy, then, you know, they know it's coming, and it can be very quick. None of these practice sessions, or even, you know, if you're teaching a new one, are going to take that much time. Where hymn study really makes an impact is when you're doing it multiple days a week in just tiny snippets of time. So this is not, you know, sitting there for an hour and, you know, going over it, reworking it, retweaking it, you know, just doing all that critical analysis of it. This is just the familiarity that it's going to build through frequent practice. So, and even, you know, for these little practices, I don't want you to feel like you have to do all 8 verses of, you know, Be Thou My Vision or St. Patrick's Breastplate. This is not that, at least in our home. Now, if you have older children and you would like to implement that, more power to you. That's great. But at least in this season of time in our family, when we have lots of little kids, one verse, per our practice is great. So those are a couple times that you can try out and see what works best for your hymn study in your home. And you just, get back to me. If you want to troubleshoot, we can talk about that and maybe find a special time. If you have an especially busy schedule, I'd be happy to talk through that with you and find a spot where you can work in hymn study for your home. And until next week, just keep making a joyful noise.